So Robert Fico of Slovakia was shot. The shooter was arrested, and he stated that he didn't like Robert Fico, he didn't like the government, he didn't like. So he decided to shoot him. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is the typical mental unbalanced person that a famous organization would hire to do such job. Someone through very indirect means, so the source is never caught openly, would be formatted and hired, convinced, through hiring, through any other means. I mean, I don't believe money is involved, because if one gets arrested immediately after having shooting the president 3 or 4 times, what good is the money, right? So it has to be about conviction and other ideas and people that are gullible. And so this famous organization has been doing this throughout history, and I think they've done this now. It's their hand there. I cannot see. I mean, you can go and try to think, try to use logic to see who might have done it. Russia? The West? I am not surprised if the West pulls out this theory. Someone from Russia. The matter of fact is that Fico was, I wouldn't say pro-Russia, but he was against further arms supplies to Ukraine. He was against further interventions and aid to Ukraine. So he was against the Washington's interests in the region, to put it straightforward. And so it's at least suspicious that he has become a target, and then Washington is not involved, or Washington or Ukraine. But every time we talk about Ukraine doing something, it has Washington always involved, because Ukraine is a puppet of Washington nowadays, and it doesn't move if Washington doesn't say so. So whether if it is the SBU or the CIA, or I think time will tell. Time will link this to Washington. And this kind of in the moment where the history, where tensions are very heightened in historical values, tensions are very high, this kind of event doesn't benefit, it only adds to the tension. I believe you're going to see some moves within Slovakia to change government. I believe this is the ultimate goal. So basically what you do is, every time a government does not align with you, you simply find a way to overthrow this government, being through assassinations, through orange revolutions, coups. I mean, this is a vastly studied and used book, and it happens in a moment where you see, for example, heads of states like Vladimir Putin going to China and being welcomed with every honor possible and every apparatus, big committee and a lot of preparations for welcoming of the leader. And then you see the German leader, or Antony Blinken, who likes to go and play guitar in Kiev, when they go there. And Germany, I'm not so surprised. But Blinken being the representative of the United States, that's a big statement when China just welcomes them in a very irregular way. Journalists, few officials, and that's it. No red carpet, no anything. The blocs are forming, and countries like China, of course, they cannot do the same. The United States do not have power to do the same as they do in smaller countries, to go there and just assassinate the leader and overthrow. And because countries like China and Russia, they do know this game. They are aware of it. They have been both victims of it. I mean, remember Hong Kong? Remember other statements like the Uyghurs and all this that belongs to the Western propaganda sphere. Russia the same, the Navalny's. This was all attempts to start to undermine their system, their political system, in order to reach an overthrow. But these were cut by the roots. They were immediately suppressed. Of course, this also gives more tools of propaganda to the West, because they accuse them of being dictatorship, blah 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 blah. That kind of music. But nevertheless, they were effective in suppressing them, and so they do not have to suffer the same fate. This is more. It is more difficult to do in smaller countries within the European Union, which are heavily dependent on funds from Brussels, which are heavily interdependent on neighbors and other countries, and have open borders, and have a very diverse group of forces, many of them financed by Washington's interests. I don't think I'm saying any new thing when I talk about, for example, organizations like National Endowment for Democracy. Let me know if you are new to this, the NED, National Endowment for Democracy, and they're kind of this is just one of their organizations that then subsidizes many others, and they create power within these countries that can then overthrow. I mean, the same was done in Ukraine, right? But when they resort to assassination, normally it indicates that they were not able to do it through softer means. The last resort is the military intervention, but of course this would be a little bit too much, to say the least. They wouldn't go on military intervention in an European country. They always find this way. And yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about today. I will try to know more about the developments, of course, to know exactly who were the masterminds of this assassination attempt. It will take time, but we can extract a lot from what happens next, especially moves done by the opposition. Although the opposition publicly condemned, blah blah blah. Of course, it would be too obvious if they wouldn't condemn this. But what's next to come will tell us much more about the case. In the meantime, we have the Kharkov offensive of Russia, which a lot of speculation have been saying this. They would go and conquer the city of Kharkov, second biggest city in Ukraine. But I have my doubts, and I've already expressed these doubts in previous video, where I was not sure if that was the goal, or if the goal was just to create a buffer zone, capture the immediate near settlements around the Russian border, from which the Ukrainians were increasing their artillery shelling of civilian areas in the Belgorod region. And I'm more inclined to this option because just for one factor, the number of troops involved. The number of troops involved, according to reports even from the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, it does not say there is enough contingent to capture a city like Kharkov. A city like Kharkov would be a bloody huge battle. Bigger than Mariupol. And so for that reason I don't think that's the case. For now, of course, for now. Because if they can develop great success there at minimum costs, they might be tempted to keep developing the offensive in that direction. Nevertheless, this offensive has created great results. Somehow it seems that they have surprised the Ukrainians. The surprise factor is very difficult nowadays on the battlefield, as you all know. As any amassing of troops, it's immediately spotted. But nevertheless they have achieved success. And one of the reasons for that is that they use small contingent of troops. They used huge artillery barrage. That was the main bell, the main alarm bell, that was giving out the intention that the Russians would be about to do an incursion, but that was too late, because that was really immediately prior to the incursion. So yeah, let's see what happens next. Like Dima says, it can happen something like this. And I think Dima is the guy to follow if you want to know a lot of details about that. But just bear in mind, don't get too over or under optimistic, over pessimistic or over optimistic on that. Just focus on the numbers, because those really matter in this case. But like I was saying before, nevertheless, the front line has been stretched. It has forced the Ukrainians in panic to act, so losing initiative in other parts of the front, they had to stretch their forces thinner in fear that the front, because if the front breaks there, then that's the end of the SMO, according to me. As far as I'm concerned, if for example Russians do a stunt of capturing Kharkov, of surrounding it completely, then capturing it, this would be a huge blow. Okay, yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say today. I've been a couple of days without doing any videos because I've done live stream in Portuguese, and I've been also dedicated to Portuguese political matters. I've just recorded a short video which I will publish soon on Facebook and some other platforms. I don't know if I will put it on YouTube, but if any of you are Portuguese audience and want to see that as well, just go through my link tree and go to Facebook, because nowadays I tend to put my Portuguese spoken videos on Facebook, and then when they are long interviews I also put them on Spotify and other podcast platforms, because I tend to feel that the audience is sometimes divided. Some Portuguese videos you all know are going also to YouTube when I do this political talk shows. But for example, if I do short videos in Portuguese about Portuguese politics, I tend to put them more on Facebook, not to how should I say, not to scare away the audience, the English-speaking audience on my YouTube page. I'm sorry. I really feel I'm not doing a good job in managing my social media. I really haven't found the system I feel really comfortable with, and I want to grab, of course, the most diverse audience that I can. So I tend to do sometimes some random or erratic, tend to have some erratic behavior in the publication of the videos. But one thing is certain: if you go through my Linktree links, you'll find everything. Okay? See you on the next one.